Alright, welcome guys. Let's talk about Daredevil Born Again. I've watched the first 2 episodes. I'm sure a lot of you guys have as well. It released late yesterday, and then obviously over here in the UK managed to catch it today. It's good. This is going to be a relatively spoiler-filled conversation about the show, about the first 2 episodes. So if you haven't seen it, I would just real quickly say non-spoilers anyway. I had a very good time with it. I enjoyed it. I think it was surprisingly good. And I think this indicates that Marvel can get it right. They just needed to follow in the paths of other people, i.e. Netflix. Bizarre. Really bizarre, but never mind. So there's the non-spoiler review, I guess, for you guys that don't want any spoilers. Honestly, go watch it. It is actually worth your time. It's well shot. It's good. The story is good. I'm excited for the rest of the show. And I don't care about Marvel. I don't care about DC. So take that for what you will, I guess. Anyway, hit subscribe if you're new here, or indeed you're a returning viewer that's not yet subscribed. There's about 50% of you that watch that are not subscribed. So please do, hit that subscribe button and turn the bell notifications on. Thank you in advance. So let's talk about the show. Full spoilers from here on out. And I'm not going to put any sort of, wild and wacky images. And I'm just going to talk about it. We're just going to have a conversation. They hit the ground running with this, pace-wise, very, very well. So we start off with Daredevil, Matt Murdock, Paige, and Foggy. They're closing up for the day. They're finishing up for the day. And they're heading off out to, a diner, Josie's Diner, or bar, or whatever it is. I think it's a bar, to go wrap up for the day. You can see the sort of sexual tension between Paige and Matt Murdock, and Foggy's there trying to chat up some rando. Anyway, this lasts for probably about, I want to say about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, something like that. We hit the ground running with Foggy's death. Foggy gets killed by Bullseye. And it's not a fake out death. It's a very clear death. He bleeds out. It's brutal. Obviously, Matt Murdock becomes Daredevil and goes to beat the crap out of Bullseye. And it essentially tries to kill him. He throws him from a rooftop. And amazingly, he doesn't kill him. So I am surprised by that. I don't really know how he survived, because he went face first off probably, a 3-story building. It was quite high. And it was brutal. It sets the stage for, hopefully, a lot of violence to come. And it sets the tone. It also sets a character arc for Matt Murdock. It sets a character arc where he has given up being Daredevil. Now, this is something which was actually which we knew based on the previous show that they then had to kind of redo. Now, I don't know. They clearly haven't redone the story. I think that they've redone how they've executed the story. Because that was something which was that previous show. It was a bit more procedural than what we're getting here. Effectively, Matt Murdock has given up being Daredevil. Because we jump to a year later. Foggy's still dead, so he is dead. We jump to a year later, the conviction of Bullseye. The sentencing hearing. Matt Murdock sees Paige again. She's not living in New York anymore. I think he said LA, or I think it was LA. And you can see the sort of tension between them and things like that. But yeah, he's given up being Daredevil. And that was one of my main issues with the leaks for the previous show, is that I don't want a show that's constantly teasing him coming back to be Daredevil, to him for him to be Daredevil just at the end, which is what the previous story was. Now I'm hoping they've changed that and they escalate that a little bit quick, say mid-season, and he becomes Daredevil. But we'll see how they execute it. Now, meanwhile, Wilson Fisk is becoming the mayor, right, the Kingpin. Vincent D'Onofrio does such a great job in this role. He is such a great actor. And he is sadly very underutilized, I think, in Hollywood. He is a fantastic actor, and he owns the role of Kingpin. Really does. And it's not just his size or his acting chops. It's his presence that he has, which I guess does relate to his acting chops. But he has such presence on screen. And he owns that role. So he becomes mayor, presumably by some maybe dodgy means. It's kind of hinted. They're like, oh, it's a surprise lead for Wilson Fisk. All these kind of things. So maybe a little bit dodgy. And we're kind of seeing his breakdown of his marriage with his wife, Vanessa. Which then ultimately, the end of the second episode, result in him seeking counselling. Which I don't know where they're going to go with this. Now, this whole show is interspersed with street level. So public street level interviews with a reporter, BB. The BB report. I quite like those interviews. It's an interesting way to segment this show and remove it from its main narrative and then bring it back, because you are effectively learning what the people are viewing, how they view Daredevil and the mayor, vigilantism in general. I think that's quite a smart way of doing it, actually. From there, Matt Murdock takes on a case. Turns out it's White Tiger. White Tiger is getting... No one knows he's White Tiger, although they do by the end of episode 2. But he's being framed for murdering a cop. Now, this will be interesting to see where they go with this and how they sort of progress this. I'm hoping that this isn't, again, just one thing which they just drag out for the entirety of the show. But we'll see. It's good so far. Like it's a good show, right? But we close out with 2 cops coming to murder the witness in the case. The only witness, the key witness in the case. Basically trying to frame this guy for White Tiger for murdering a cop. The other cops are. And Matt Murdock goes mental. He takes a beating. He sends the witness away. He takes a beating. And he's like, yep, okay, sure, fine. But then the cops go to kill him. Right? And he's like, please don't do this, please don't do this. Gun to his head. And he just goes on a rampage. Breaks the guy's arm. It's the thing that you've seen in the trailer. Breaks the guy's arm. Smashes the guy against the fridge. Really, really, really mental. And then screams at the end. And then boom, roll credits. And in between that, you've got Wilson Fisk blackmailing the chief of police to stay on. Which was interesting. Again, you can see Wilson Fisk still up to his old tricks, obviously. And it'll be interesting to see what his end game is here, what his end goal is. So that's kind of the rough story. Super, super rough. But you can kind of see where they're going with it. A little bit procedural, a little bit violence. Is he going to be Daredevil? Is he not? What's Wilson Fisk doing? So they're setting up all of these threads, right? And they're not bad threads. They're quite good. The pacing's great. There's actually... Matt Murdock's dating the psychologist, the counsellor that is now working with Fisk and his wife. So there's going to be some interplay there, I'm sure. But the way that they've written the show, it is genuinely quite good writing so far. They're allowing time to breathe with certain people. The conversation between Matt Murdock and Fisk in the diner, that was, again, it's beautifully done, right? Like it's quite drawn out, but not in a slow-paced way in terms of it, grinding to a halt and being boring. There's a lot to like about this show so far. A hell of a lot to like about this show. I really enjoyed it. I genuinely really enjoyed it. It's beautifully shot. It is beautifully shot. I think that they're using some of the darkness to hide some of the blood that they could have had in that first episode with Bullseye. Be interesting to see whether we see a little bit more of that moving forward. In the second episode, though, we did see the guy, Matt Murdock, snap that police dude's elbow, backwards, and lots of blood came out. So I think they are trying to push that boundary of what they can show. And it may be that the Bullseye stuff and that was previous to the rewrites and the reshoots. Who knows? But it's well shot. It's really, really well shot. Genuinely, on a technical level, it's very good. The sound is really good, actually. I've got surround sound speakers, a Sonos system, and it utilizes that quite well. I really enjoyed that. The lighting's good. The acting's good. It'll be interesting to see where they go. This is the thing. First 2 episodes could be good, and then the rest could just be complete dog shit. But I really enjoyed this, and this is coming from someone that I will happily, freely critique Marvel. Like, I'm not a Marvel fanboy. At a good time. I hope that they can stick the landing. I hope this continues down this path. And what it shows to me, really, is that Marvel, when they take their product seriously, and copy Netflix, it's a bloody good show. And it's amazing. Like, this was decent. Like, the action is quite decent. I'd need to go back and watch Netflix and just double check to see whether it's an upgrade or a downgrade or, you know, stagnating on style. But it's a good show. I can recommend it. Weirdly enough, I know. So if you've seen it, what did you think? Leave your thoughts down below. And if you haven't, are you going to watch it? Anyway, thanks so much for watching this review, ladies and gents. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye now.